Hey guys, Rarocopter here with another episode of DayZ Survival. And today we're going to talk about the darkness and what we can do to overcome the darkness, basically. A lot of newer people are probably logging in to servers similar to this and basically asking the question, what the hell am I going to do? I can't see my character, can't see my gun, can't see what I'm shooting at. What's the point? So there's a couple of handy little tricks that we can use to overcome them. Some of them are part of the game, some of them are not and are a little hacky, but I guess we can just kind of talk about all of them. But first let's just talk a little bit about why it's dark. If you don't know this already, DayZ runs on a 24-hour per day cycle. So if you log on to a central server and it is dark in the Central Standard Time Zone, like this server, then it's going to be dark in the server as well. And it actually goes to the extent that it matches the lunar cycles as well. So the reason that this server is so absolutely dark is because there is no moon. And if you go to an actual astrology or astronomy, I guess, website, you'll see that this is actually the darkest part of the month, and that's why it's super dark in the game as well. So it's kind of an interesting game mechanic, and it does bring a lot into the game because more than half the population doesn't know what to do in the darkness and just kind of run around. And a lot of them overcome the darkness the incorrect way, which I will show you. And so let's jump right into how can we fix this? How do we beat the system here? So the first major thing that is spreading pretty quick and is probably going to get taken out of the game sooner or later. It was already in the patch notes once, but they actually did fix it. So I'm assuming they know about it and they're working on a fix. But this is basically called the brightness gamma trick. And this is kind of taking advantage of the graphics engine and using it to your own advantage. So I want you to just kind of take note. Look how much I can see on my screen, or lack thereof rather. And we are going to go ahead and change a couple of settings, and hopefully it will be vastly different than it is now and we can actually see a little bit. So if you hit escape, you go into options and video options. You have these two sliders here, if the chat would go away. You have brightness and you have gamma. And if you slide these all the way up, if you watch up here, you can kind of see what's going on. Gamma is just going to make everything super, super, super bright. With those two things alone, if you're by the coast and not in a wooded area, those two things alone are going to help quite a bit. They're going to light up the sky, they're going to light up the ground in a lot of cases, and you may or may not even need to do this next step. So kind of play around with it. It's not a 100% like this works every time type of thing. But the other thing that you can kind of increment and play around with is HDR quality. If you set this to very high, for example, it does have to do a full kind of reload. And man, that's like night and day. Night and day. But yeah, it's just crazy the difference. I mean, I can actually see the ground, I can see my person, I can kind of see over in the distance. I mean, if someone was standing up in here, I probably wouldn't be able to see them, but it's a vast improvement to what it was. I can actually, get around and get from place to place and see what's going on. So a lot of people do use this. I don't really consider it cheating or hacking or anything like that. I mean, this is basically just taking advantage of the graphics engine, and there's no way you're going to be, getting banned or kicked or anything for using this kind of little hacky trick. So play around with those settings and see what you come up with. I mean, the HDR to the max has really worked for me. Sometimes turning shadows on and off is another thing that can kind of vary it, help or not help. So look at those 4 settings and just check it out and see what works for you, basically. Okay, so moving on to some actual in-game mechanics here. So you have a couple of options in-game to help you gain vision at night. You have flares, which you start with, You have Chem Lights, which are just probably the most common thing in the game. And I don't have one, but there's also a flashlight. Or, sorry, there's two flashlights. There is the regular flashlight and then a military grade flashlight. I probably will only cover in depth like the flare and the Chem Light. I don't have a flashlight, like I said. But I'll put some good info about the flashlights in the description, just so you guys can read up about it and see if it's worth it. But okay, so flares. Basically, flares are a wonderful thing and the worst thing. They give you so much vision. They light up a town when you need it to, but they also are seen from the max viewing distance of the game. So a while ago, I wish I would have actually gotten it, but a while ago there was a flare. See those trees right there? There was a flare in those trees, and I could see everything around those trees clear as day. I could see the person that threw the flare. I could see him walking around. I mean, if I had a 50 cal or something, I would have been able to shoot him right in the face, even though it's pitch dark. So you have to be really careful when you're using flares. A lot of times, like I was saying earlier, a noob will say, hey, I can't see, check it out, I can use this flare, now I can see. That is basically like you just attracting all the bandits on the server. I don't know how to explain it. But I guess I'll go ahead and just throw one down. You can see exactly what I'm talking about, how incredibly bright they are. And hopefully I won't get shot in the face, but I guess that would be to my point. So you can actually throw it, you can pick it up and run around with it, which is, again, the worst thing you could possibly do. You can drop it, and then you can also extinguish it. All done through the mouse wheel menu. Chem Lights are awesome. Basically, they give you quite, I mean, not near what a flare does in vision, but they give you some vision for sure. And they're really useful for traveling in groups or just spotting out just certain areas. They're really dynamic, basically. A lot of times whenever we're traveling in a pack of 4 or something, we'll have the person that's the best navigator or has a GPS or something like that. They'll carry the flare and everyone will follow that person. And so the great thing about flares as compared to, or I'm sorry, Chem Lights as compared to flares is, if my guy would run here, the only thing that you can see past 50 to 60 meters is this little blinking light, which literally could mean anything to a person that sees it. And I'm pretty sure the drop off on the blinking light is about 150 meters. So it's just a really safe thing to use in most cases. So Chem Lights are definitely the way to go if you're just looking for a little bit more vision than you already have. Boom. I'm so glad this happened. Okay. That is how much a flare just completely lights up your map. I mean I am a bandit and I just want to go over and kill whoever that is. There's just something about flares, it's like blood in the water for a shark. Like, I just want to go kill whoever has the flare out. And they already put it out. So they were just looking at I guess the area briefly, maybe, I'm not sure. So that's just to my point. One other thing to note about flares versus Chem Lights is flares do attract zombies, and quite a bit, I would say. Whereas Chem Lights don't seem to really affect zombies that much, probably because of the drop off of about 50 meters and just not really putting off that much of a light signature, that it just doesn't do much, I guess. I mean, it makes sense because Rocket really does try and put, you know, real world type of scenarios into the game. So the other two things which I can't really demonstrate are the two flashlights. Really the only difference between them is the military grade flashlight has I think it's it's kind of like a Chem Light, like it has a much smaller drop off and it's red, so it's not quite as bright. The major thing I guess to note about using a flashlight is it does take up your secondary weapon slot. So if you have a pistol or something, it's going to take that pistol out and put the flashlight there, which makes kind of this whole secondary inventory, I don't know, it becomes almost useless. You're not going to carry around 8 bandages. You know, you're not a field medic. No one's ever going to need that many bandages. So I don't really know how I feel about flashlights. One other thing, I mean, you can actually get a flashlight on a weapon. The 2 weapons that I know for sure have it are the G17 and the Remington, which is a shotgun. Both of those already have the flashlight on there, and so when you have the weapon pulled out, all you have to do is press L, and it's actually going to turn it on. But the couple of times that I've had those weapons, I just didn't really find it useful, because when you have it on, the flashlight actually shoots to the to the left and to the right and stuff. It doesn't, unless you're aiming forward, it doesn't shoot it doesn't light your way basically, and it just seems like it's kind of painting a target on your head. So I never really found a good use for it. I heard a lot of people talking about how if you're if you're in a gunfight or something, you can actually point your flashlight at their face and they can't really see you. So that's a tactic I haven't experimented with, but that's something to note. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to touch on. Like I said, it would be pretty brief, and I feel like I was a little scatterbrained, but hopefully at least the HDR trick and just kind of some explanation and some of that stuff will help you guys out. If you have any comments or suggestions or anything, please let me know. And yeah, if this video was helpful to you, please like and subscribe, and hopefully I will have some more in-depth in-game type videos coming out. I already have another one in the making, hint hint. And I think I'm also going to start doing some like gameplay type stuff, because I do play with my friends quite a bit, and some of the situations that we get in I feel like are YouTube worthy. So I will probably be making another playlist, not really a series, just another playlist. So be watching out for that, and I will also be putting our new website in the comments, or in the description rather. So check that out. It's not quite done yet, but feel free to comment about that, or just go check it out, see what you think. Alright, see you guys later.